So it's been over a week since Autel has released the firmware update that fixes the Horizon Tilt to the public. So how is it? Is it any good? Did it fix the issues? We're going to talk about it in this video. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Phones, Drones, and Tech. If you are new here, consider hitting that subscribe button. I'm Original Dobo, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here for the very first time, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. The Autel Robotics Evo drone received a firmware update, and I believe it was 1.2.1 was the firmware update. Now, previous to that, I've been running the beta version of that software for roughly about 2 weeks, testing the Horizon Tilt, and I confirmed that it was definitely fixed and working fantastic. I used it the whole time I was in Philadelphia for all of my cinematic videos that I've done recently, and I've been really happy. Last Thursday, I installed the update, or I should say last Friday, I installed the update, and I noticed a couple of things, that we didn't ask for, and a couple of things that we got that are pretty awesome. So let's talk about it. First things first, the awesome, before I get to the bad. We finally have control over the gimbal pitch. So now we can control this bad boy, the up and down, which is phenomenal. I wish it was there while I was in Philadelphia to get those nice, slow pitch shots, but we have it now, so that's all that matters. Number two, we now have Ludicrous mode, which is Autel's version of Sport mode, which allows you to unlock 45 miles an hour on the Evo, and let me tell you, you can get every bit of that 45 miles an hour on this drone. Sadly, a couple of things were introduced that I didn't want to see, and that is a gimbal twitch. So the gimbal ever so slightly has this little twitch to it, and then the other thing is, at least that I notice, when I'm flying, the drone sort of flies like this. Instead of hitting the stick forward and it flies straight, I'm flying sort of like this now. I have calibrated my sticks. I've done compass calibration. I basically took all the steps that I possibly could before reaching out to Autel, and I did, and I was probably a little bit scathing in my email with them, but they were pretty good with me. We had a good conversation, and they're totally trying to get ahead of this. They're definitely out in front, and they were already aware of some minor issues with the software, so they're working on it actively, which I think is huge. The other thing that I brought to their attention is the fact that I cannot hand launch my Evo. Now, many people, this may not be an issue for you because you have a problem with props spinning close to your arm or face. I am psychotic and don't really care if I get hurt in the process of getting this drone launched. I want to get the best shot that I possibly can, and sometimes I cannot launch this from the ground. I have to launch it from my hand. One of those places being a boat. And what happens is with the Evo, it's doing all these self-checks on the gimbal, and if it finds that there's motion, it's not going to allow you to launch it. So I've asked Autel and brought it to their attention to please include some sort of way we can hand launch this. The engineers are aware of it, and they are actively looking at adding something like that for later on down the road. Where this would matter is if you're on a boat or maybe a kayak. I know a lot of people that follow me are kayakers, and they would want to take this, hold it in their hands, because it is small enough and it is capable of launching from your hand, and let it go up and get all those really cool shots that you would want. So hopefully they get this addressed. The best thing about this, and the most positive thing I could really say to anyone, is the fact that they're actively working with their community, and every suggestion we've thrown at them has been acknowledged, and 2 of those suggestions have been included in the latest firmware, which I think is huge. You're not going to find that from very many companies, and I may sound like, you guys can comment and say, well, DJI gets it right the first time. That's great, but I appreciate the fact that Autel did listen to the 2 major gripes we had, and if they include this, that'd be awesome. The ability to finally launch this drone from my hand would be amazing. Other than that, it's really holding up super well. I'm very happy with the latest firmware. If anybody is out there in YouTube land following me that does wraps or anything, I need a skin for the top of this, or if you can put me in contact with somebody who does liquid wraps, I want to get this thing customized. I don't care what it will cost me, just tell me where you are and how I can get this to you. Anyways, that's gonna do it for today's video. If you enjoyed, smash that like button. If you already haven't, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss future info and information about the Evo. And also, if you haven't already, I'm gonna include a link to our public Facebook page where I am pretty active about anything Autel Robotics. So come by, check us out. Until next time, guys, stay original.